The rain hammered against the window like it had a grudge, turning the old Victorian house in Haven Point into a drum of secrets I never wanted to hear. I slammed the door behind me, my duffel bag hitting the floorboards with a thud that echoed my unraveling life. And there he was, Hunter, sprawled across my bed like a ghost from a dream I shouldn't have, his broad shoulders heaving with sobs that cut deeper than any knife. In that split second, as lightning cracked the sky and lit his tear-streaked face, I realized the man I'd called brother for 20 years wasn't broken by the storm outside, but by the one raging in his chest, and it pulled me under before I could even catch my breath. I froze in the doorway, water dripping from my jacket onto the worn Persian rug my mom had scavenged from some estate sale in Portland years ago. Haven Point was like that, full of hand-me-downs and half-forgotten stories. A speck of a town on the jagged Maine coast where the lobster boats bobbed like buoys marking the edge of nowhere. I'd driven back from Boston in a haze, the breakup with Alex still burning fresh in my veins like cheap whiskey. His parting words, "You're too damn safe, Noah, like this town," looping in my head on the 5-hour haul up I-95. Safe. What a joke. I'd left Haven Point at 18, chasing architecture degrees and city lights, only to circle back at 28 with nothing but a lease termination and a heart tattooed with regrets. Hunter didn't look up at first. He was curled on his side, one arm tucked under his head, the other clutching the edge of my quilt like it was a lifeline. His dark hair, usually cropped military short from his days in the Guard, had grown out shaggy, curling at the nape of his neck in a way that made him seem younger, more lost. He was 30 now, 2 years my senior, but grief had a way of stripping the years off a man. His flannel shirt was untucked, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms roped with muscle from hauling traps on his dad's boat, and his jeans were mud-splattered, like he'd trekked through the woods behind the house instead of knocking like a normal person. "Hunt." My voice cracked, barely audible over the thunder rolling in from the Atlantic. I dropped to my knees beside the bed, close enough to smell the salt and pine on him, mixed with something sharper, tears, maybe, or the faint tang of bourbon. "What the hell are you doing here? It's 2 a.m. He finally lifted his head, those storm-gray eyes locking onto mine, red-rimmed and wild. Hunter Reyes had always been the steady one, the guy who fixed engines with a grin and talked down bar fights with a clap on the shoulder. We'd grown up tearing through these pines on dirt bikes, stealing beers from his uncle's cooler, dreaming of escaping this fog-shrouded trap of a town. But now, his face twisted in a way I'd never seen, like the mask he'd worn since high school had finally splintered. "Noah," he whispered, voice gravel rough, reaching out a trembling hand that stopped inches from my face. I didn't know where else to go. "They're coming for me. God, they're coming." I grabbed his wrist before he could pull back, feeling the pulse hammering there like a trapped bird. "Who? Your folks? The sheriff? Talk to me, man." Panic clawed up my throat. Not just for him, but for the fragility of this moment, the way his vulnerability cracked open something in me I'd buried deep under blueprints and bar hops. He sat up slowly, the bed creaking under his weight, and scrubbed a hand over his face. "It's everything. The lies. The hiding. I can't breathe anymore, Noah. I thought if I could just get here to your room, like when we were kids and I'd crash after Dad's rages, I could remember how to be me." His laugh was bitter, hollow, echoing off the slanted ceiling beams. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the panes, but inside, the air thickened with unspoken truths. I stood, shrugging off my soaked jacket and tossing it over the desk chair piled with sketch pads from my failed Boston gig. The room hadn't changed much since I'd left for college. Faded posters of Frank Lloyd Wright designs curling at the edges, a shelf of dog-eared sci-fi novels, and that old baseball glove on the windowsill, still dusted with the sand from our last summer game on the beach. It smelled like cedar and sea air, a scent that wrapped around you like a memory you couldn't shake. I crossed to the mini-fridge I'd installed last visit, Mom's welcome home gift, and pulled out 2 bottles of IPA, cracking them open with the edge of my belt buckle. "Here." I pressed one into his hand, clinking mine against it in our old ritual. "Start from the beginning." And don't bullshit me. He took a long pull, Adam's apple bobbing, then set the bottle down with deliberate care, like it might shatter if he gripped too tight. Remember that night after graduation? The bonfire at Black Cove. His eyes drifted to the window, where rain blurred the outline of the lighthouse blinking in the distance. How could I forget? We'd been 18 and invincible, flames leaping high as we passed a joint and talked about enlisting together, seeing the world beyond the buoys. Hunter had gotten quiet then, staring into the fire like it held answers, and I'd punched his arm, called him a sap. But there'd been a weight to it, a hesitation in his laugh that I'd chalked up to senior year nerves. Yeah, I said, sinking onto the edge of the mattress, close enough that our knees brushed. You burned your hand trying to impress that girl from Ellsworth. Said it was worth it for the story. He snorted, but it died quick. There was no girl, Noah. Not then. Not ever. The words hung there, heavy as the fog rolling in off the bay. He met my gaze, unflinching now, the gray of his eyes darkening like thunderheads. It was you. Has been since that stupid bonfire. I enlisted to run from it. From you. From this town that'd string me up if they knew. But I'm done running. The bottle slipped from my fingers, foam hissing as it soaked the rug. My heart slammed against my ribs, a roar louder than the storm. Hunter, my Hunter, the one who'd pulled me from the undertow at 10, who'd covered for me when I snuck out to sketch the stars, was looking at me like I was the only harbor left in the world. And in that gaze, I saw not just confession, but a plea. See me. All of me. I don't know how long we sat there, the rain a relentless curtain sealing us in. Minutes? Hours? Time blurred in Haven Point, where clocks ran on tides and tempests. Finally, I reached out, cupping his jaw, thumb tracing the rough stubble that matched my own. His skin was warm, feverish almost, and he leaned into it like a man parched. You're not alone in this, I murmured, the words tasting foreign on my tongue, laced with the echo of my own fractures. Alex had called me safe, but safe was just another cage, one I'd built brick by brick to hide the questions I'd never voiced. The way my pulse quickened when Hunter slung an arm around my shoulders, the ache of his absence during deployments. Whatever's chasing you, we'll face it. Together. He closed his eyes, a shudder rippling through him, and when they opened again, there was fire there, gratitude, fear, hunger. He pulled me closer, foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the scant space between. I never expected you'd still be here for me, after everything I hid. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable as the tide. Slow at first, tentative. His lips soft against mine despite the calluses from ropes and reels. Then deeper, urgent, tasting of hops and salt and years unspoken. My hands found his back, fingers digging into the knots of muscle earned from years at sea, and he groaned low, a sound that vibrated through me like bass from a distant concert hall. We broke apart gasping, foreheads still pressed, the world outside forgotten. But as the storm eased to a patter, reality seeped in. The creak of floorboards downstairs signaling Mom stirring for her dawn shift at the diner, the faint glow of dawn creeping under the curtains. Hunter pulled back first, regret shadowing his features. I should go, he said, voice thick, before anyone sees. No. I caught his arm, the word firmer than I felt. Stay, just for now. He searched my face, then nodded, collapsing back against the pillows with a sigh that seemed to deflate him. I kicked off my boots, slid in beside him, the bed dipping under our combined weight. His head found my shoulder, arm draping across my chest, and his sleep tugged at us both. I traced lazy patterns on his skin, mapping the freckles I'd never noticed before. Dawn broke gray and gold over Haven Point, filtering through the lace curtains Mom had sewn from old fishing nets. I woke to the smell of coffee brewing downstairs and Hunter's steady breathing against my neck. For a heartbeat, it felt right. Two boys grown into men, tangled in the sheets of a life we'd half lived. But then his phone buzzed on the nightstand. a harsh vibration that shattered the illusion. He jolted awake, fumbling for it, his face paling as he read the screen. Shit, it's Dad. I sat up, rubbing sleep from my eyes. What does it say? Hunter's jaw tightened, knuckles whitening around the device. Get your ass home. We need to talk about that faggot stunt you pulled last night. The words hit like a slap, crude and venomous, typed in the blocky font of a man who communicated more in grunts than sentences. My stomach twisted. Last night? What happened? He raked a hand through his hair, eyes distant. Bar in Rockland. Couple drinks too many. Some guy. We talked. Danced even. Nothing much, but word travels fast in these parts. Tommy Hargrove's cousin works the door. Bastard's got a mouth like a megaphone. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, pulling on a hoodie from the chair. We'll handle it. Come on, breakfast first. Mom's pancakes wait for no storm. Downstairs, the kitchen was a warm bubble against the chill. Formica counters scarred from decades of family meals. A radio humming oldies from WBLM, and Mom flipping flapjacks with the precision of a short-order vet. Clara Whitaker, 52 and fierce as the nor'easters that battered our shore, glanced up from the griddle, her blue eyes mirror of mine, narrowing at Hunter. Well, look what the tide dragged in. Reyes, you look like hell warmed over. Sit. Eat. He managed a half-smile, sliding into a chair at the oak table scarred with our initials from knife-whittling contests. Morning, Clara. Smells like heaven down here. She slid plates our way, stacks golden and steaming, drowned in maple syrup tapped from the sugar bush upstate, and poured coffee black as the bay at midnight. We ate in companionable silence at first, the clink of forks the only sound besides Elvis crooning about heartbreak hotels. Mom had always been the anchor. Widowed young when Dad's trawler went down off Georges Bank, she'd raised me on diner tips and sheer grit, teaching me that love wasn't fireworks but the quiet showing up when the power went out. So, she said finally, wiping her hands on her apron, eyeing us both with that mom radar that saw through bullshit. You two plotting world domination or just nursing hangovers? Hunter choked on his coffee, and I shot her a look. Just catching up, Ma. Hunter's got some stuff going on. She hummed, non-committal, but her gaze lingered on the bruise blooming under his sleeve. Faded yellow from some scuffle I hadn't noticed. Stuff, huh? Well, this town's got more skeletons than a pirate's cove. But you boys remember. Blood's thicker than seawater, and secrets sink ships. She tapped the table twice, her signal for dropping it, and bustled off to the sink. We finished in quiet, the weight of her words settling like dew. Outside, the yard was a slick of mud and fallen leaves, the pines whispering secrets to the wind. Hunter pushed his plate away, staring at his hands. She's right. I can't keep dragging you into this mess. Drag me? I leaned in, voice low. Hunt, last night. That wasn't a mess. That was real. His eyes met mine, soft now, vulnerable in the morning light. Yeah, terrifyingly real. But my family's got hooks in deep. Dad's already sniffing around. And if he finds out about us. He didn't finish, but he didn't need to. Rhea's men were lobstermen through and through. Tough, territorial, with a Bible on the mantel and a shotgun by the door. Coming out in Haven Point wasn't a coming out. It was a casting off, a drift on currents that swallowed you whole. I stood, grabbing our jackets from the hook. Then we don't let him find out. Not yet. Walk with me. Clear our heads. The path to the bluff wound through birch groves, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. Haven Point stretched below us. Clabbered houses huddled against the gray Atlantic, the harbor dotted with buoys bobbing like colorful regrets. Gulls wheeled overhead, crying out as if mocking our silence. Hunter walked with hands shoved deep in his pockets, shoulders hunched against an invisible gale. Tell me about Boston, he said after a while, kicking a pine cone into the underbrush. You building empires up there? Or just dodging potholes? I chuckled, but it felt forced. Empires? More like sketching condos for rich assholes who want ocean views without the salt. Alex was part of that world. Thought he fit. Turns out he wanted flash. Not me. Hunter stopped, turning to face me, the bluff's edge framing him against the sea spray. He was an idiot. You deserve someone who sees the lines you draw, Noah. The ones that matter. Heat crept up my neck, not from the wind. I stepped closer, the space between us charged like before a squall. And what if that someone's been here all along? His hand found mine, fingers lacing rough and sure. We stood there, palms pressed, the world narrowing to the salt sting and the steady thrum of his thumb against my knuckle. It was a promise, fragile as sea glass, but ours. Back home, the day unfolded in lazy rhythms. Fixing the leaky faucet in the boathouse, where tools clattered and laughter echoed off the rafters. Splitting firewood in the backyard, axes biting deep into logs as sweat beaded on our brows. By afternoon, the sun broke through, gilding the pines in amber, and we collapsed on the porch swing, beers sweating in our grips. "You're good at this," he said, gesturing vaguely at the stack of split oak. "Making normal feel possible." I nudged his boot with mine. "Normal's overrated. But us? This feels like the first real thing in years." Dusk fell soft, painting the sky in bruise-purple hues. Mom called us in for chowder, creamy with clams from the co-op, and we ate by lantern light, stories flowing like the tide. His deployment tales from the sandbox, sandstorms and stars brighter than havens. My city misadventures, rooftop parties where the skyline mocked the smallness inside. Laughter came easier, barriers crumbling with each shared glance. But as night deepened, shadows lengthened. Hunter's phone stayed silent, a loaded gun on the counter. When we climbed the stairs, hands brushing in the hall, the air hummed with anticipation. In my room, door clicked shut. He backed me against it, kiss fierce and claiming, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. Clothes shed in a tangle, skin on skin under the quilt's weight. His touch was reverent, exploring, fingers tracing collarbones, lips mapping ribs, as if memorizing me against the dawn's theft. I arched into him, gasps swallowed in the hollow of his throat, the world reduced to friction and fever. Afterward, spent and sated, we lay entwined, his heartbeat a lullaby against my chest. "I love you," he murmured into the dark, words I'd waited lifetimes to hear. "Always have," I whispered back, sealing it with a kiss to his temple. Sleep came swift but not deep. Dreams twisted, bonfires blazing, waves crashing, faces blurring in smoke. I woke to Hunter slipping from the bed, silhouetted against the moonlit window. "Can't sleep," I mumbled, propping on an elbow. He turned, face etched with worry. "Just thinking about tomorrow. Dad's expecting me at the traps by 5. Then go, but come back tonight. We'll figure it." He nodded, dressing quiet as a thief, then paused at the door. "Noah, thank you for seeing me." The latch clicked soft, and he was gone, leaving the room colder, emptier. I pulled the covers tight, staring at the ceiling's cracks like fault lines in my resolve. Haven Point had a way of reclaiming you, pulling you under with its currents. But for the first time, I didn't want to fight it, not if it meant holding on to him. Morning light sliced through the blinds like accusations, pulling me from a sleep fractured by half-remembered touches. The bed felt too vast without Hunter's warmth, sheets cool and rumpled where he'd lain. I rolled over, burying my face in his pillow, inhaling the faint musk of him, pine tar and sea salt, that lingered like a ghost. Downstairs, Mom was already out, her shift at the diner starting with the fisherman's dawn chorus, leaving the house to creak in solitude. Coffee brewed strong, black as my mood, and I paced the kitchen, phone in hand, thumb hovering over Hunter's contact. No texts, no calls, just the tick of the wall clock and the distant buoy bells tolling from the harbor. By 8, anxiety gnawed like a barnacle. So I grabbed keys and jacket, heading out into a day crisp as fresh newsprint, the air laced with brine and possibility. The Reyes dock jutted into the bay like a defiant finger, weathered pilings crusted with mussels, the water slapping lazy against the hulls. Hunter's truck was parked crooked, toolbox spilling wrenches onto the gravel, a sure sign of haste. I spotted him mid-haul, hauling a crate of pots from the shed, his back to me, muscles coiling under a faded Carhartt. "Hey!" I called, voice carrying over the gull's squawk. He straightened, wiping sweat from his brow with a forearm, gray eyes lighting at the sight of me. "Noah, didn't expect you this early. Traps are biting today. Got a full load for the co-op." I closed the distance, hands itching to touch but holding back in the open glare of daylight. Couldn't sleep. Figured I'd lend a hand. Unless you're too macho to need it. A grin cracked his face, boyish and disarming. "Macho? Please, grab that line. Let's see if city boys got calluses anymore." We worked in sync, old rhythms resurfacing. Knotting buoys, stacking pots heavy with kelp and clawing memories. The sun climbed, warming the planks underfoot, and talk flowed easy. About the Bluefin run last summer, the new microbrewery in Ellsworth tempting weekend runs. But under it, tension simmered, unspoken questions bubbling like the foam on a breaking wave. "You hear from your old man?" I asked finally, coiling rope with deliberate twists. Hunter paused, bait knife glinting as he gutted a herring. Yelled mostly, called me every name in the book. But he let it slide, said to shape up or ship out. He glanced up, jaw set. I told him to shove it. Politely. Relief flooded me, sharp as a gut punch. And storm's brewing, but not blown yet. He's all bluster, Noah. Deep down, he knows I'm the best hand he's got. He rinsed the knife in a bucket, water sluicing red-tinged. But last night, that's a whole other gale. I stepped closer, voice low amid the lap of waves. Worth the wind, though. His eyes held mine, heat flickering. Damn right. Quick as a snare, he leaned in, brushing lips to my temple. Chased, stolen, before pulling back with a wink. Now quit slacking. We've got quotas. By noon, the truck was loaded, diesel rumbling as we idled toward the co-op. Haven Point's main drag unfolded. The bait shop with its neon freshworm sign flickering even in daylight, the library's steeple piercing the sky like a prayer unanswered, folks nodding from porches as we passed. Mrs. Hargrove waved from her garden, trowel in hand, oblivious to the gossip her kin spun. At the co-op, amid the clang of scales and banter of haulers, we unloaded in sweat-soaked tandem. Eli, the dock boss, a barrel-chested vet with a prosthetic leg from Nam, clapped Hunter's shoulder. Reyes, you and Whitaker's boy make a fine team. Reminds me of my Navy days. Tight as drumskins. Hunter laughed it off, but color rose in his cheeks, and I felt a thrill, dangerous and sweet, at the casual normalcy. We grabbed subs from the shack, Italian loaded with capicola and provolone, and ate on the pier's end, legs dangling over the drop, feet skimming the swell. "Tell me something true," he said around a bite, mustard dotting his lip. "About you, the parts Boston didn't touch." I chewed slow, gazing at the horizon where sea met sky in a hazy merge. "I used to sketch you, back in high school. In that notebook I hid under the mattress. Your profile against the football field lights, or laughing at the county fair." His sub paused halfway to his mouth. "Me? Why?" "Because you were light, in a town full of shadows. Made me feel seen even when I was invisible." Silence stretched, thick with the weight of revelations. He set his lunch aside, shifting to face me fully, hand finding my knee in a grip steady as anchors. "You were never invisible, Noah. Not to me. Hell, you were the damn constellation I navigated by." The kiss that followed was salt-kissed and sun-warmed, unhurried under the gull's indifferent watch. No hiding, no haste. Just us, claiming a sliver of the day. When we broke, breathless, he rested his forehead to mine. This scares me shitless. But God, it's good. Afternoon's young, I murmured. Let's blow off steam. Your place? Or mine? Mine's closer. And empty. Dad's at the VFW till dark. We drove with windows down, radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run on loop, fitting anthem for our escape. The Reyes house squatted on a bluff overlooking the cove. Saltbox shingles silvered by storms, porch sagging under lobster buoys strung like morbid garlands. Inside, it smelled of liniment and low tide, relics of a life etched in flotsam. Upstairs, his room was a capsule of boyhood suspended. Twin bed with a quilt stitched by his abuela before she passed. Walls papered in faded maps of the Gulf. A guitar gathering dust in the corner. We tumbled onto the mattress, urgency tempered by daylight's honesty, exploring with hands and mouths that learned by heart. His skin was a map of scars, shrapnel pocks from Kandahar, faded tattoos of crossed anchors on his ribs, and I traced them like verses in a sacred text, drawing out moans that echoed off the rafters. After, we lay lazy in the tangle, his head on my chest, fingers drumming idle rhythms on my hip. Remember that summer we built the fort in the woods? He asked, voice drowsy. Swore we'd live there forever, away from all the noise. I smiled into his hair. Yeah, stocked it with pilfered sodas and that Playboy you swiped from your cousin. Called it our kingdom. Wasn't the mag I cared about. He lifted his head, eyes serious. It was you. Always the company. Warmth bloomed in my chest, chasing the chill of doubt. We dozed then, lulled by the distant crash of surf, waking to shadows lengthening across the floorboards. Dusk painted the room in indigos, and we dressed slow, stealing touches like contraband. Downstairs, I rummaged the fridge, leftovers of chili con carne from Abuela's recipe, spiced fierce, and we ate at the scarred Formica table, forks scraping plates amid easy talk of nothing. The Red Sox's slim playoff hopes, the meteor shower slated for next week. But as plates cleared, the front door banged open, shattering the bubble. Dad Reyes filled the frame, broad as a barrel, face ruddy from drafts and ire. Whiskey breath preceded him, eyes narrowing on us, me, the outsider, at his table. Whitaker, what's this? Playdate. Hunter stiffened beside me. Dad. Noah's helping with the books. Co-op paperwork. A grunt, dismissive, as he shrugged off his coat, hanging it on the antler rack. Books, right? While you're off prancing in Rockland dives. His gaze bored into Hunter, accusatory. Heard from Tommy. Said you were cozy with some drifter. That true? The air thickened, charged. Hunter's fork clattered. It was nothing. Let it go. Nothing? Reyes barked a laugh, bitter. In this town? Boy, you best remember where your bread's buttered. And who bakes it? He shot me a glance, hard. No offense, son. But blood calls to blood. I swallowed bile, standing. Appreciate the hospitality, Mr. Reyes. I'll head out. Hunter rose too, hand grazing my arm. A plea, a anchor. I'll walk you. Outside. The night air bit crisp, stars pricking the velvet sky. We paused at my truck, his grip on my elbow fierce. He's drunk. It'll blow over. I searched his face, illuminated by the dome light, jaw clenched, eyes stormy. Hunt, this not just blowing over. It's a pattern. I know. He pulled me close, hug brief but bone deep. But I've got your back. Always. The drive home wound through moonlit pines, radio murmuring low. Mom was in the living room when I slipped in, curled on the couch with a harlequin and chamomile, glasses perched on her nose. Rough night? She asked without looking up, but her tone said she knew. I sank beside her, head lolling back. Reyes Sr.'s on the warpath. She marked her page, turning thoughtful. Old man's scared. Change is a bitch, especially when it knocks on your door wearing your son's face. Her hand found mine, squeezing. But fear don't own you, Noah. Not unless you let it. Her words lingered as I climbed to bed, the house settling around me like a sigh. Hunter's text buzzed as I plugged in my phone. Miss you already. Tomorrow? Always, I replied, heart swelling. Sleep claimed me swift, dreams woven of bluffs and buoys, his laugh the thread binding it all. But dawn brought a reckoning. Another text, this one from an unknown number. Stay away from my boy Whitaker, or you'll regret it. The threat landed cold, a harbinger. Haven Point's undercurrents ran deep, and we just stirred the silt. The days blurred into a rhythm both intoxicating and insidious, like the tides pull you feel before the undertow claims you. Hunter and I carved out pockets of us amid the mundane. Stolen hours in the boathouse, where the scent of oakum and varnish masked our whispers. Midnight drives to the county line, windows fogged from laughter and lips meeting at stoplights. Quiet evenings on my porch, his head in my lap as I sketched the curve of his lashes by firefly glow. Each touch deepened the ache, a sweet erosion of walls I'd built against the world's sharp edges. But Haven Point watched, its eyes everywhere, the sidelong glances at the co-op, the hush in Mrs. Ellis's bakery when we grabbed morning rolls together, the way Reverend Hale's sermon Sunday lingered on Sodom's sins a beat too long. Mom noticed too, her questions veiled in domestic chores. That boy's been around more than a gull at a clam bake. Everything shipshape. I'd nod, evasive, but her knowing smile said she saw the shift. The lightness in my step, the way my sketches now curved with new grace. Just be careful, love, she'd murmur, pressing a thermos of chowder into my hands. Storms don't announce themselves. She was right. The threat text festered like a hook barb, unanswered but ever-present. I deleted it, told myself it was bluster, but doubt shadowed our idol. Hunter brushed it off over coffee one fog-shrouded morn. His knee pressed to mine under the table. Dad's all roar. Ignore it. Yet his eyes betrayed him. Flickers of strain when his phone chimed, the way he'd flinch at sudden noises. Deployments had left scars invisible as tide pools, and this home-front war gnawed deeper. Midweek, escape beckoned. The annual harvest fair in Ellsworth, 40 minutes inland where maples blazed crimson and the air hummed with fiddle tunes and fried dough. We drove my truck, his hand on my thigh the whole way, radio crooning Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire like prophecy. The fairgrounds sprawled under harvest moon, lanterns strung like stars fallen to earth, booths hawking quilts and cider, the midway alive with shrieks from the zipper ride. Pick something sinful, Hunter teased, arms slung casual around my shoulders as we wove through the throng. Couples twined, kids sticky with cotton candy, the scent of caramel apples thick as temptation. I veered us to the ring toss, snagging a stuffed lobster the color of dawn sky. For your collection, to remind you of home when you're out conquering the world. He clutched it close, grinning wolfish. World's got nothing on this. Then, in a lull of the crowd, he tugged me behind the hay bale maze, kissing me fierce under the harvest moon's gaze. Teeth nipping, hands roaming bold. The world narrowed to his taste, cinnamon from the churros, and the thrill of near miss, laughter bubbling as we emerged flushed. We rode the Ferris wheel at dusk, the car swaying gentle as it crested. Haven Point a distant sparkle on the coast. Up there, suspended between earth and ether, he turned to me, face gilded in sodium glow. Noah, I meant what I said that first night. This us. It's the anchor I've been missing. My throat tightened, words tangling. Me too. But what if the chain snaps? Your dad, the town. His fingers threaded mine, grip unyielding. Then we dived deep, together. Descent brought reality's chill. The drive home silent but charged, his hand never leaving my knee. At my door, goodnight stretched languid, porch light casting long shadows, his body flushed to mine, slow burns igniting. Mom's truck was absent, her night off at bingo, so we slipped inside, the house a conspirator in our unraveling. Upstairs, urgency unspooled. Shirts shed in the hall, stumbling into my room where moonlight pooled on the floorboards. He was poetry in motion, Broad planes of chest dusted dark. Hips canting urgent as I mapped him with lips and tongue. Gasps filled the air, mingled with rain pattering anew. Our bodies a duet of give and take, cresting in shudders that left us wrecked, entwined. Post-bliss haze, he traced my jaw, voice soft. Ever think about leaving? For real. Not enlistment somewhere new. Portland, maybe, or farther. The question pierced, stirring silt. Every day, but running feels like failure. And you're here. He hummed, pensive. Not forever. Dad's talking retirement. Boat's mine if I want it. But chains, Noah. Heavy ones. Sleep evaded, thoughts churning like breakers. Dawn found us stirring to the scent of bacon. Mom. Ever the sentinel. Frying up forgiveness. Breakfast was a tableau. Plates heaped, coffee steaming, her chatter light on fair gossip. But undercurrents swirled. Hunter's phone vibrated insistent, face clouding as he silenced it. Mine later, he muttered, but tension coiled. Post-meal, we parted with a glance loaded, him to the traps, me to a freelance gig sketching renovations for the library's expansion. The day dragged, pencils scratching elevations that mimicked the rise and fall of his breath. By evening, text from him, co-op run. Meet at the lighthouse? 8. Anticipation thrummed as I drove the coastal road, cliffs plunging to foam-white fury below. The lighthouse stood sentinel on Pine Point, beams sweeping rhythmic, its base a tumble of rocks where we'd skipped stones as kids. He was there, leaning on the iron railing, silhouette stark against the gloaming sea. Missed you, I said, pulling him into an embrace that lingered. Every second. His kiss was salt-lashed, urgent, hands framing my face. We sank to the grass, overlooking the abyss, bodies aligning under stars pricking the indigo vault. It was raw, elemental, waves crashing counterpoint to our rhythm, release a roar swallowed by the gale. After, cloaked in jackets against the spray, we talked futures. A cottage on the bluff, maybe with space for my drafting table and his guitar rest-rung. Dreams spun fragile, but his voice wove them solid. Then, headlights pierced the dark, truck beams sweeping the lot. Hunter bolted upright, yanking clothes haphazard. Shit, that's Tommy's rig. We scrambled, hearts pounding, ducking behind boulders as tires crunched gravel. Voices carried. Tommy Hargrove's drawl, slurred with beer. Saw your truck, Reyes, hiding from Daddy. Hunter's breath hitched, fist clenched. I gripped his arm. Wait. But Tommy's laugh grated. Words out, buddy. Rockland wasn't discreet. And Whitaker. Folks are talking. The truck revved, peeling away, taillights fading like accusations. Hunter sagged, fury etching lines. Gonna be hell now. I pulled him close. We'll weather it. Night deepened, drive home tense. At my door, his goodbye kiss bruised, desperate. Love you, he rasped. Love you more. Inside, Mom waited, arms crossed. Trouble brewing, Noah? I nodded, spent. Yeah, but worth it. She hugged me fierce. Then hold fast, boy. Tides turn. Bed claimed me. But sleep was fitful, dreams of lighthouses crumbling into surf. Morning brought storm clouds massing, mirroring the one inside. Hunter's text. Meet at the fort? Need you. The old treehouse in the woods, our childhood bastion, loomed rickety, moss-cloaked. He was there, pacing planks that groaned protest. Dad knows. Confronted me at dawn. Said I'm no son of his if I don't straighten up. My gut twisted. What did you say? Fuck him. I'm done hiding. His eyes blazed, but beneath, fear flickered. Come with me? To face him. Hand in hand, we trekked to the Reyes dock, dawn gilding the bay. His father waited, rod in hand, face thunderous. Whitaker. Fitting. Hunter squared shoulders. Dad, this is real. Noah's. Everything. Silence stretched taut. Reyes's eyes bored, then softened fraction. A crack. Lost your mother to this town's judgments. Won't lose you to him too. But son, it's hard. The admission hung, olive branch crooked. Hunter exhaled, tension easing. We can talk. Really talk. As they embraced awkward, I stepped back, heart full. Progress fragile as eggshell. But on the bluff later, alone, doubt whispered. How long before the waves reclaim? Weeks wove onward, a tapestry frayed at edges but vibrant in threads of us. Haven Point's whispers dulled to murmurs. Tommy's gossip starved by lack of fuel. Reverend Hale's sermons veering to prodigal sons. Hunter's dad thawed slow, gruff invitations to supper masking tentative acceptance. Pass the potatoes, Whitaker, and none of that city slop talk. Mom beamed over pot roast, her subtle nods approval, and for stolen breaths, life felt scripted by a benevolent hand. Sunsets painting the harbor rose gold, nights tangled in limbs and low confessions. Yet undercurrents tugged insistent. Hunter's deployments loomed, papers yellowing on his dresser. Recall orders for a training stint in Georgia, 6 months minimum. We'd skirted in daylight, burying fear in chores and chases, but midnight brought truths bare. What if distance snaps us? He'd murmur, fingers tracing my sternum like braille. Then we knit tighter, I'd vow, kissing resolve into his skin, but doubt was a barnacle clinging. October deepened, leaves carpeting paths in fire, and opportunity glinted. A design fellowship in Portland, urban renewal project for the old port. My portfolio, sketches infused with coastal grace, lines echoing Hunter's horizon gaze, earned a callback interview. It's a foot in the door, I told him over chowder at the diner, booth our confessional. Closer than Boston, but a step. His spoon paused, eyes shadowed. Proud of you, but leaving Haven, even part-time, temporary, weekends here, us intact. He nodded, but fork scraped plate uneasy. Just, don't fade on me, Noah, like others have. The words stung, echo of abandonments past. Friends scattered post-high, his deployments ghosts. I cupped his hand across vinyl. Never. Interview dawned crisp. Drive to Portland, a ribbon of autumn blaze. The firm perched in a converted warehouse. Exposed brick and drafting tables humming with ambition. Suits nodded at my concepts. Sustainable lofts weaving green spaces into cobblestone alleys. And by noon, handshake sealed. Start date November, hybrid with site visits. Elation buzzed as I texted Hunter. In. Dinner to celebrate? His reply lagged. Can't. Dad's boat acting up. Rain check. Deflation nipped, but I shrugged it off, phoning Mom for the news. My boy's flying, she crowed, promising meatloaf upon return. Homeward, fog thickened, radio fading to static. Haven blurred ethereal, lighthouse beam a probing finger. Pulling into the drive, porch light glowed welcoming, until I saw the truck. Hunter's, parked askew, engine ticking cool. Inside, voices murmured low. Mom's kitchen timbre, Hunter's rumble edged sharp. I paused in the hall, coat dripping, eaves unseen. Can't keep pretending, Clara. It's eating him. Mom's sigh weary. Noah's strong, but this town's poison for secrets. You pulling him under. Silence, knife twist. No, God, no. I love him too much. Love. Affirmed, yet the undercurrent chilled. My name a pawn in their pact. I cleared throat, entering. Hey, early finish. Hunter startled, face paling. Noah. Yeah, boat's fine. Just checking in. Mom bustled, averting eyes. Meatloaf's warming. Sit. Dinner pass strained. Forks clinking, talk of weather and whales. Hunter's knee brushed mine under table. Comfort? Guilt? But his laughs rang hollow. Post-meal, dishes sudsing, he cornered me in the mudroom. Something's off. I pressed, arms crossed. What did you tell her? He raked hair, exhaling. About Georgia. The orders. She cornered me. Said I should go. Give you space for Portland. Rage flickered, hot. Without talking to me? We're not kids scheming sleepovers. Hunt. I know. His hand reached, pleading. Feared you'd push back. Say stay for us. I would. Voice cracked. Because us is worth more than drills and drafts. Eyes glistened, it is. But 6 months. What if I lose you to the city lights? Then fight for it. I pulled him close, foreheads abutt. Promise me. Promise. Kiss sealed, fervent, but doubt's seed sprouted. Portland commute began seamless. Dawn drives through mist-veiled valleys, city unfolding in steel and steam. Loft designs flowed, colleagues sharp with banter, Jenna, the lead architect, all pixie cut and puns. Marcus, drafting whiz with tales of Brooklyn bridges. Success tasted sharp, validating. Yet evenings ached empty, Haven a hourglass sifting sand. Hunter visited weekends, truck laden with takeout and tension. Our rhythm faltered, arguments over missed calls. You were slammed. I get it. Sex urgent but edged. Afterglow laced with silences. Miss the ease, he'd mutter, tracing my skyline tattoo. Inked post-Alex. Me too. But Portland pulled, ambitions blooming. While he withered dockside, Dad's expectations a yoke tightening. Thanksgiving loomed, fraught. I drove home laden with craft beers and cranberry relish, heart buoyed by holiday truce. Rhea's table groaned, turkey golden, sides heaped, Abuela's tamales steaming beside Mom's pie. A truce held. Toasts clinked, stories spun of bounties past, Dad Reyes even slapping my back. Good on ya, Whitaker. City's not claimed you yet. Post-feast haze, Hunter and I slipped to the bluff. Blankets bundled against November bite. Stars wheeled crisp, meteor shower streaking fleeting. Beautiful, he breathed, head on my shoulder. You more. Kiss soft, lingering. For a breath, peace reigned. But December gale brewed swift. His orders finalized. Wheels up January, Fort Benning bound. 3 months training, then maybe deployment. He confessed over eggnog by the tree. Lights twinkling on boughs we'd felled together. Panic clawed. We can visit. Portland's a hop. Yeah. But voice hollowed. Dad's leaning hard. Family legacy bullshit. Says if I go, come back straight or not at all. The ultimatum landed brutal. Then defy it. For us. I searched mine, torn. Trying. But Noah, what if I can't? Winter deepened. Snow mantling pines like shrouds. Portland intensified. Deadlines loomed. Jenna's flirtations casual but persistent. Drinks after? Unwind those blueprints. I demurred. Loyal. But isolation gnawed. Hunters call sporadic amid drills prep. New Year's Eve, Haven glittered frost-kissed. We rang bells at midnight on the pier. Fireworks blooming over bay. His arms my harbor. To us, we toasted, champagne fizzing cold. But dawn brought fracture. Text from Marcus, project extension, weeks in Boston for consults. I broke it to Hunter dockside, pots clanging backdrop. Boston, face shuddered. Back to Alex's shadow? No. Work. Defensive. You know that. Yeah. Bitter. But distance. It's already carving us hollow. Argument erupted. Accusations flung. You're pulling away. You're chaining me here. Words weapons, drawing blood. He stormed off, pots abandoned. I drove to Portland numb, snow swirling taunt. January bit fierce. Benning swallowed him. Texts sparse, calls crackling with fatigue. Love you, he'd rasp, but static swallowed replies. Portland world. Boston trips blurred nights in hotels. Blueprints birthing under fluorescence. Jenna's harmless dinners veering close. One February Eve, post-meeting haze. Her hand lingered on mine over wine. You're tense, Noah. Let go. I pulled back, guilt gnawing. Home that night, Hunter's voicemail waited. Miss you. Fort's grinding me. Come see. Heart-wrenched. Weekend flight south. Georgia Clay red as wounds. Base a sprawl of khaki and cadence calls. He met me at the gate, uniform crisp, embrace bone crush. God, you, he murmured, motel room our sanctuary. Reunion burned fervent. Bodies reclaiming, whispers vows renewed. We'll make it. But dawn's reveille intruded, his eyes shadowed. Dad called, said the boat's mine if I recommit. No more distractions. Distractions? Fury flared. That's us. I know. Defeat weighed. Told him no. But it's tearing him. Sympathy warred anger. Family's not blood alone. Choose life, hunt. I am. Kiss goodbye, lingering. Spring thawed slow. Portland bloomed cherry, my designs lauded, promotion whispers. But Hunter's updates chilled. Training extended, whispers of Middle East rotations. Calls frayed. Silences stretched, jealousy seated. Who's Jenna? Colleague. Wary. And you? Bar nights with the squad. Trust eroded, drip by corrosive drip. May Gale, mom's call, voice quaver. Hunter's home. Rough shape. Come. Heart seized. Drive blurred. Arriving to Rhea's house storm-lashed. He answered, hollow-eyed, uniform shed like skin. What happened? Arms in fold. Twist. Dad cornered me post-rotations talk. Said I'm shaming the line. Called you poison. Fist clenched. I swung. Broke his nose. Horror, then resolve. We leave. Portland. Now. He searched my face, breaking. Can't. Boat's all I know. Then learn new. Plea raw. Night descended. Us on his bed, bodies seeking solace. But thrusts mechanical, grief's pall heavy. Dawn he rose resolute. Go. Without me. No. Tears hot. Fight. But door shut. Final. Portland swallowed me, designs blurring through tears. Weeks ghosted. Jenna's comfort rebuffed. Mom's check-ins lifeline. Then June solstice. Text from unknown. He's gone. Iraq bound. Said goodbye to all but you. World tilted. Airport dash, but flight delayed, storm's irony. Haven waited, porch vigil through night, rain lashing judgment. Dawn broke, truck rumbling. Hunter emerged, duffel slung, eyes dead. Noah. Embrace shattered us, sobs racking, vows fracturing. Don't, I begged. Have to. Voice steel. For him. For me. Betrayal bloomed. Bitter. The secret talks with Dad. The planned exit sans me. You chose them. Tears tracked. Chose survival. He drove away, dust clouding taillights. Collapsed, Haven's heart my wound. Summer scorched Haven Point into a furnace of regret. The bay a mirror mocking my fracture. Days dragged leaden. Portland commutes abandoned. Designs gathering dust on my desk while I haunted the bluffs, sketching ghosts. Hunter's profile etched against phantom waves. Lines smudged by salt tears. Mom's worry etched deeper. Her hugs fierce as she pressed soup bowls into numb hands. Hearts mend crooked. Love. But they mend. Did they? Nights replayed the betrayal in loops cruel. His whispered plans with Dad. The rota to Iraq a coward's veil. My pleas dismissed like flotsam. Jenna's emails piled. Project urgence laced with concern. But I ghosted. Isolation a shroud self-woven. The town pulsed oblivious. Fairgrounds dismantled. Tourists fleeing inland heat. But whispers lingered, sharpened to knives. Tommy Hargrove's leer at the co-op. Heard Reyes shipped out solo. Smart move. Rage simmered. Vented in solitary runs through pine thickets. Lungs burning as feet pounded earth. One dusk, collapse on the fort's ruins. Planks rotted. Our kingdom reclaimed by moss. I unearthed the old tin. Sodas rusted. Playboy brittle. A photo yellowed of us grinning. Arms slung defiant. Fingers traced his smile. Ache blooming visceral. Why? Whisper to wind. Unanswered. August broke the fever. Mom's insistence on a road trip, clear the cobwebs. Her old Chevy rumbling south to Acadia, peaks granite sharp under skies vast. Trails clambered steep, sweat purging poison, but solitude amplified echoes. His laugh in the rustle, touch in the breeze. Summit views stretched eternal, and there, breath ragged, resolve crystallized. Survival wasn't surrender. I'd build, not break. Return galvanized. Portland reclaimed. Jenna's welcome warm without pressure. Missed your edge, she quipped over blueprints, and collaboration sparked. Lofts evolving with verdant twists, my vision sharpened by loss. Nights, I strummed his guitar, borrowed from the Reyes porch in a mercy raid, chords coaxing melodies raw, lyrics scrawled of harbors lost. September gilded leaves, Iraq updates trickling via Mom's network. Hunter safe, patrols routine, but letters sparse. Miss the bay, miss you, forgive. Forgiveness dangled, thorned. I penned replies measured, love affirmed, but trust a bridge charred. October gale howled premonition. Dad Reyes at my door, hat clutched, face weathered deeper. Son, gravel voice, can we talk? Porch Creek hosted truce. Beers cracked, silence initial as surf. I pushed him. He confessed, eyes Bayward. Legacy bullshit. Thought it'd save him from hurt. From me, bitter edge. No, sigh heavy. From world that choose boys like us. Pause, laden. Clara told me about you both. Should have seen sooner. Shock rippled. And love's love. Lost my brother to hiding. Nom draft dodged, but shame killed him slow. Hand extended, rough. Won't lose Hunter that way. Or you. Grasp firm, pact unspoken. He's coming home? November. Stateside posting. Wants to talk. Heart lurched, hope, terror twined. I need time. Fair. He rose, clap on shoulder. But don't wait forever, Whitaker. Tides don't. November fog cloaked arrival. Portland flat sublet for Haven Vigil. Airport run aborted by delays. Instead, dockside wait. Wind whipping scarves. Mom beside in solidarity. Plane touched distant, but his truck appeared first. Silhouette familiar, duffel slung. Noah, voice hoarse, eyes devouring. Arms collided, embrace vice. Sense of desert dust and pine mingling. Tears salt on cheeks. You're back. Yeah. Pull back, gaze searching. Missed this. You. Mom discreet, retreating. We drove silent. Hands laced over gear shift. Home a magnet. My room waited unchanged. Bed a battlefield of memory. Door shut, urgency unspooled. Uniforms shed hasty, bodies colliding fervent. Reunion etched in bites and gasps, reclaiming territories lost. After tangled sheets, his fingers traced my ribs. I'm sorry for choosing fear. Why? Voice muffled in his neck. Dad's words wormed deep. Thought sacrifice proved manhood. Laugh wry. Idiot. Forgiven. Kiss temple. But no more secrets. None. Vow solemn. Healing threaded slow. Suppers at Reyes. Dad's grunts evolving to questions. How's the drawing? Mom's pies bridging. Hunter re-enlisted stateside. Virginia base a compromise. Weekends Portland bound. Trust rebuilt plank by plank. Calls nightly. Visits laced with laughter. Nights deep in explorations tender. December snow dusted first. Tree trimming at home. Lights strung with his hands steadying mine. Ornaments tails triggering. The lobster plush from fair, now faded sentinel. Yule log crackled, stories spun of futures. My firm partnership whisper his discharge dreams, maybe guiding tours or boat refit for charters. But undercurrents lingered. A bar spat in Virginia, squad mates slur drawing fists. My jealousy flare over a photo, him arm in arm with a drill sergeant, caption brothers in arms. Arguments flared brief. Trust me, then show it. but cooled quicker, apologies sweet as reconciliation. New Year dawned hopeful. Countdown at the lighthouse. Beam our metronome. Kiss at midnight ceiling. To anchors, he toasted, flask of bourbon warm. Spring burgeoned verdant. Portland cherry blossoms framing our first joint lease. A loft with bay views. Drafting table beside his nautical charts. Designs flourished collaborative. Sustainable harbors. Green docks honoring his roots. Haven visits ritual. Bluff picnics. Fort rebuilt sturdier. Our kingdom reclaimed. Yet climax brewed summer solstice. Wedding invite from Tommy Hargrove. Nuptials to a summer girl. Reception at the VFW. Come? Hunter asked, face taut. Face the town together. Dredd nodded. Public. Yeah. No hiding. VFW hall pulsed. Banners faded. Tables groaning potluck. Fiddle wailing. Eyes tracked our entry. Hands laced defiant. Suits pressed. Whispers hissed. But Dad Reyes's clap on back silenced. My boy's home. And happy. Dance floor called. Slow sway to Patsy Cline. His chin on my crown. World fading. Then Tommy's approach, beer loosened. Sneer curling. Reyes, heard you went soft overseas. This your souvenir. Hunter stiffened, but I squeezed anchor. Love's not soft, Tommy. It's steel. Laughter rippled. Tension shattering. Night spun joyous. Toasts clinked. Stories swapped. Acceptance tentative but real. Aftermath bloomed. Town thawed. Reverend Hales gnawed at services. Co-op banter inclusive. But personal storms lingered. Hunter's nightmares. Desert echoes jerking him awake. My arms his harbor. Therapy sought, VA groups for him, journal for me, vulnerability our bond. Autumn harvested bounty. Promotion sealed. My name on firm letterhead. Hunter's charter boat christened Constellation. Maiden voyage us alone. Sails billowing free. Bluffs watched. Lighthouse beam blessing. Winter solstice under stars he knelt. Ring simple silver anchor etched. Marry me, Noah. Build forever. Tears pricked. Yes. Haven Point encircled. Ceremony spring. Cliff's altar. Family witness. Dad's toasting gruff. Mom's dabbing eyes. Vows exchanged wave crash. In storms and calms, I choose you. Life unfolded mosaic. Portland days drafting dreams. Haven weekends salting souls. Conflicts crested. Deployments dodged. Town biases battered. But compassion prevailed. Identities affirmed. Years layered. A son adopted. Freckled echo. Designs spanning coasts. His charter's legends. Betrayals mended. Love's depth plumbed. Humanity in fractures. Freedom in flaws. In twilight years, bluff sitters, hands veined, we'd recount. That stormy night, room revelation. Never expected, he'd murmur. But changed everything, I'd affirm. And in that echo, grace. The years didn't so much pass as accumulate, like driftwood piling on Haven Point's shore. Each piece weathered, essential to the whole. Our wedding lingered in memory's tide pool. Spring zephyrs off the Atlantic, vows murmured under a pergola of wild roses mom had coaxed from the bluff's thin soil. Hunter's eyes locking mine with a steadiness that drowned out the gull's cries. Noah Whitaker, you are my north, my current, my calm in every gale. I'd echoed back, voice thick. Hunter Reyes, in your light, I found my lines, straight, true, unbreakable. Rings exchanged, anchors twinned. Amid cheers, Dad Reyes's booming clap, his to the boys, sloshing champagne. Mom's handkerchief twist, whispering, my heart's full, loves. Honeymoon whispered away in a bar harbor inn. Clawfoot tub steams and lobster boils. Bodies rediscovering in firelight flicker. But reality's undertow pulled swift. Portland's skyline called my drafting table. Virginia's base hunter's reluctant desk. Paperwork drudgery for a man bred to salt spray. Commutes bridged by calls at dusk. His voice gravel from briefings. mine ink-stained from elevations. "Miss your harbor," he'd say, and I'd counter, "Sail home soon." Adoption bloomed unexpected. Summer's end. Little Elias, for years orphaned by a car wreck in Bangor. His mop of chestnut curls and hazel stare a mirror uncanny. Court days dragged, paperwork a labyrinth, but homecoming. His tiny hand in mine at the agency door. Sealed fate. "Boat rides, Daddy?" he'd lisp, and Hunter's grin cracked wide, scooping him high. Every sunset, kiddo. Fatherhood reshaped us. Sleepless nights tag-teamed, Elias's nightmares of loss echoing Hunter's own. My sketches now doodled with stick-figure fleets. Haven enfolded. Co-op picnics where Eli chased buoys. Dad Reyes teaching knots with gruff patience. Loop like this, Sprout or the seal have ya. Conflicts crested domestic. Hunter's wanderlust flaring. "This desk life's killing me." Met my anchor plea. Stability for him, us. Therapy wove through, via circles for his shadows. Family sessions unspooling resentments like tangled lines. "I chose fear once," he'd admit, Elias asleep between us. "Won't again." Portland thrived. Partnership etched in brass plaque. My harbor revamps earning nods from coastal commissions. Docks resilient to rises, infused with Maine grit. Hunter discharged honorable. Charter constellation a success. Tourists hooked on tales of wrecks and whales. Weekends us three under sail. Eli's whoops mingling with porpoise clicks. Betrayals surface sly. A client poach at the firm. Jealousy over a deckhand's easy camaraderie with Hunter. Just mates. Noah. Like us once. Storms brewed verbal. Doors slammed. Silences iced. But dawn reconciliations deepened. Apologies over coffee. Makeup slow and sacred. Forgiveness a practice honed. Elias grew tidal. School buses yellow as buoys. Scraped knees from pine scrambles. First crush confessed in Fort Whispers. But Dad, he's a boy, like me. Heart swelled. We navigated gentle. Books on rainbows and rights. Haven's library stocking allies. Town evolved patchwork. Pride flags fluttering sporadic on porches. Tommy Hargrove's apology slurred at a reunion. Was young, dumb. Met with Hunter's nod. Aren't we all? Yet gales gathered. Hunter's health faltered autumn of Eli's teens. Shrapnel twinge blooming to chronic ache. Docs prescribing rest he chafed against. "Can't captain from a couch," he'd growl, and I'd counter. Adapt, love. Like always. My own tempests. Firm merger stress. Deadlines drowning dreams. Nights sketching alone while he soothed Eli through algebra woes. A near-miss crested vicious. His pain-fueled snap. "You're always working, never here." Met my retort. "And you're adrift without orders." Words weapons, but Eli's tear-streaked intervention. "Don't break us." Hauled us to harbor, counseling reigniting. Milestones marked resilience. Eli's graduation, valedictorian speech on hidden currents shaping shores. Our nods teary. His college send-off to UMaine, dorm packed with our notes. Navigate true. Empty nest echoed hollow first, but voyages renewed. Sail to Nova Scotia. Maps unrolled on the galley table. Hunter's hand in mine tracing routes. "Still my constellation," he'd murmur, and I'd kiss knuckles scarred. Ages layered gentle. Silver threading our hair, lines etching laugh crows around eyes. Body slower but touches tender. Porch swings creaking under weights combined. Eli's visits with partner in tow. A quiet architect named Riley. Their glances our echo. Haven Point softened. Dad Reyes gone peaceful in sleep. Boat passed to Eli. Mom's diner sold, her days knitting by the fire. Tales spun for grandkids yet dreamed. Twilight found us bluff-bound often. Thermos of Irish coffee shared. Lighthouse beam our metronome. One eve, equinox gold, Hunter leaned head on my shoulder. Breath even. "Never expected that night," he whispered, voice thinned by years. I turned, seeing him anew. The boy in my room, storm-tossed. The man who'd chosen, lost, reclaimed. But it changed everything. Saw you, all of you, forever. His smile, faint but fierce. And I, you, love like ours. It's the sea. Endless. Forgiving. Fierce. Stars wheeled witness as we sat, hands laced. The Atlantic's hush our hymn. Betrayals long mended. Conflict's crests weathered. What remained was core. Compassion carved in concessions. Freedom forged in flaws. Identity indivisible. In Haven Point's embrace, we'd found not just survival, but sacrament, the human art of loving whole. And in that quiet, grace abided.